Okay, it is the end of June. It's June 27th. And we're gonna do a garden tour because everything's in the ground, everything is growing, everything is chaos. So let's see what some chaos looks like. I'm gonna go start at the other end because I don't want to get my neighbor's house in there. That feels super rude. We just survived the heat wave and rain and all of the things. And I'm behind on just about everything because of it. And yeah, that's where things are at. So I guess let's start with the wood beds because they look good and they don't. There we go. Okay, so this is one of the on the good, bad, and the meh side. This is sort of meh. There was a groundhog. Actually, we're gonna start there. There was a groundhog nest. This is on the mess side. It was over there. It's trying to re-dig its hole, so I gotta refill it again. I've been dumping water down before I refill it. I'm not like interested in like drowning or like, you know, letting them die in there. But they can't be this close to the garden because they keep eating stuff. So I threw a bunch of the rocks that I pulled out of the garden in there. This is the bad. This is the bad. They're just, why will it not stay? Okay, so on the list of bad, this is a giant groundhog nest. I've only seen one groundhog in it. I've thrown some water down there and then it's run away, and then I've run more water down there and no other ones have come out. So I filled it with rocks. Pretty sure they dug the rocks out and are back. So I gotta do that again. Now, the reason that's a problem is because right over here is where my lettuce is and radishes, and there was peas in here and they ate basically all of the peas. It was rough. There's a couple left. These are I don't remember if these are snow peas or snap peas, but they should be like 6 feet tall right now. And they are not. Some of that was weather, but most of it was that they got eaten by a groundhog. And the lettuce all got munched down also. So a lot of this lettuce should have been good to go like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And it's just getting big enough to harvest because it got munched down and then had to recover. And some of it didn't recover. Some of it just got munched down to nothing and then didn't recover. And then the vining guys that are down here is not zucchini, cucumbers and melons. And I need to come back through here and trellis the cucumbers and decide if I'm gonna trellis the melons or if I'm just gonna let them vine all over the ground. Because part of the reason that I designed the garden, laid it out the way that I did, is because I want to be able to drive my car with our little like utility trailer up here if I need to bring like full yards of compost, or if I eventually want to clear out a good amount of the underbrush under here. And in order to be able to do that, I wanted to be able to drive the my SUV with the trailer on it up here. So that's why that's here. And I don't know that I want to let the melons vine all over that because of that. And then because of the groundhog, there was 2 rows of mosh and leaf lettuce, but it ate most of it as it was coming out. It got almost all the mosh. And then what it didn't get when it was hot last week, bolted, which is what that is right there in the middle. I'm gonna get closer to that so you can see it. Yeah, so this, I think it was, oh, it doesn't want to focus on that. So that was mosh that bolted, I think. Not really sure at this point. But yeah, this bed is the saddest bed. The next one's a little better, and then they just keep getting better. Okay, so this wooden bed has the super long season brassicas, because this is it's shaded here. Everything else is in full sun for most of the day. So this is where the Brussels sprouts are, and kale. And this, I was willing to sacrifice like some lettuce and some peas to the woodchuck if we could just coexist. But then it started eating my Brussels sprouts and it had to relocate itself. So then we've got artichokes. They're looking a little stressed. And then this is my, why? Okay, yeah, so these are the peppers. They all look really good. This is actually setting fruit. I don't know what that is. That might be the early jalapenos. I can't remember. And then there's this guy. I don't know what he's doing. He looks sad. But yeah, the peppers look really good. And then after peppers is celery. I didn't do a good job on starting the celery this year, and it's super behind. It just is what it is. We'll see if I get celery. Also probably needs fed. And then there's my extra herbs. I'm gonna deal with those later because I need more potting soil, and I'm gonna put some of those in grow bags just so that I have extra herbs. Next, we have, this is mostly sauce tomatoes and peas. I was really hoping the peas were gonna be done by the time I got those in, and that is just not what happened because of the weather. Like everybody's garden is doing that. It's just weird because of the weather. They're not really shading anything out because they're just flopping over, so it's fine. It's just not super easy. That's another thing that I'm going to do differently next year when I have more room, is the peas are going to go in their own row, and that's just fine. We've already gotten a few peas, and then the next few days are going to be kind of insane for them. So this is mostly sauce tomatoes. I have Amish paste, San Marzano, Romas, and Midnight Romas in here. And I think there were a couple of those that ended up in the other rows. And then 4 different kinds of peas. Right now, I have a preference for what kind of peas I'm going to grow next year versus what ones that I tried this year, but we'll see if that stays the same. But yeah, they look good. The peas are just super late. And then there's 2 more tomatillos. This is leeks. Those are my big boy leeks, and then I've got some tall leeks, alto leeks. These are the tall, these I don't think get as thick. But yeah, I'm excited that they're getting ready to go because leeks are one of my favorite foods. And then we've got onions, just all the onions, more and more onions. And then anywhere where I had gaps, I just shoved basil. At some point, I'll have to figure out what all kind of onions I have. They're labeled, but yeah. And then next is, these are mostly determinate tomato or indeterminate tomatoes and carrots. Again, the carrots should be way bigger, but the weather just didn't work for them. And they did weird stuff. So they're all a little sad. But the marigolds look really good. So yeah, this is slicers and cherries. And for slicers, I did a bunch of different ones. I did Cherokee Purple. I did a Queen of the Night. A pineapple, Robeson, Dr. Witchy's. I can't remember. I did too many. And then for cherry tomatoes, we have Honey Drop, Black Strawberry, Peace Vine, which I think that was a red. That was one that I don't know, I was less interested in, but I was like, oh, I guess we should have a red cherry tomato. Brad's Atomic Grape. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like there's one other cherry tomato that I just don't remember. But yeah, and then there's a couple different kinds of carrots. There's a carrot blend and a bunch of others. Also, I spent about 2 hours up here trying to re-trellis everything yesterday. Oh my gosh. And They still need a little work because, again, everything grew, like it went in the ground and then nothing grew for like days and days and days and weeks because the weather was kind of crap. And then it was super hot and it had rained for like 3 days beforehand. So everything shot up like a foot overnight. And then this is more onions and shallots. It's just a whole bed of that. And then next to that is another kind of flint corn. I want to say it's like New York Red Robin or New York Red something. And then taters are on the tarp. I need to top those up, but I need to run and get more potting soil for those. I'm getting Vermont compost, manure compost to just top those up with. And then when I sift it out, I'll just like replenish it a little so I can reuse it next year. And then this is tomatillos. They don't get as tall as tomatoes, so I put my bush green beans next to them on both sides, and just more potatoes, more tomatillos, more tomatillos. And then these are either winter squashes, like the vining ones. I was trying to get them to vine out over the other way, and that is not what they're doing. They are trying to vine directly into the onions. These are my green onions that need pulled, because this is another thing that I'm going to do different next year is I need to do a better job successioning them when I'm seeding them, and do like a couple plugs a week. But yeah, I'm gonna pull most of these and then just chop and freeze them. And then we've got some kohlrabi that got absolutely decimated by the woodchuck. It really liked the kohlrabi. It just nipped them completely down. So again, I'm not sure how they're gonna do. And then I've got a few fennel. I did not do good with fennel this year. My last garden, the fennel was a whole problem. Yeah, my last garden, it was a completely different whole problem though. Like I had too much fennel. I had a disgusting, disturbing amount of fennel. And this year I've got not enough, but we'll see. But yeah, that's the whole garden. Some things are doing great. Some things are super behind, and some things got eaten by a woodchuck. So that's kind of the story of it. I'm gonna go sit down in the shade and then tell the internet what I'm gonna do different next year. So for next year, I'm gonna try to sit where you can actually see my face. So for next year, there's a couple different things I'm gonna do. Some of these things were like rather weather related, so there's just not, excuse me. Okay, so next year, there's a few different things that I wanna do differently. I'm gonna have more bed space. My 5 short beds are gonna be extended so that they're 50-foot beds. Except for the one that has just rocks on the one end. So I'm gonna have more room. And then I'm gonna add 2 more beds on the other side where that black tarp is, where the potatoes and the sweet potatoes are right now. And I'm gonna have 2 of those beds are gonna be just annual flowers because pretty. And then the side beds are gonna be the garlic and the onions, maybe. I haven't, so I've kind of worked this out because I wanted to make sure I had the amount of room that I want. I was originally planning on growing potatoes not in bags, but I really don't like digging for potatoes. It's way more fun to just like dump them into a screen and pull them out. So I'm probably gonna stick to that and not put in potato patches. I'm now just rambling. Back on track. Things I'm gonna do differently. 2 whole beds of flowers on the sides, except for the outside beds. The outside beds are going to be on one side garlic, and then on the other side is going to be vining crops. So my winter squashes, my melons, they're going to basically just be in that bed, and then a cover crop either before or after. And that's how that's going to work. Also, things I'm going to do next year differently are the peas. One, I'm going to trust my seeder and not plant twice as many seeds as I need, because I don't know if it's actually putting down seed. It was. I didn't need to redo it. It is now causing problems that I did it twice. And they're going to get their own bed because I'm going to have enough room. And then what will probably happen is that will be my succession of brassicas after that. I didn't do a lot of like planning for succession crops because I just never had grown here, so I wasn't sure how well things were going to grow, what was going to have more what was going to need more time, what wasn't. The other thing is I'm going to grow less radishes. I'm going to grow like a few for the novelty of like the first thing that you can actually get, but we don't eat that many. I like to dip them in stuff. I don't want to eat that much dip. And what else am I going to do differently? I do like that I put the carrots on the sides of the tomatoes. I just wish they were further along at this point. I'm probably going to do more corn next year when I have more space. And then I am not going to do the snap peas and the snow peas on the end, like behind the corn and where my vining, like my melons are. I'm going to do them somewhere else because they're just inhibiting the vining of those at this point. And that's another one where like I'm going to just trust the seeder and not have 7 bajillion of them. And I might, if I have enough room, just dedicate one whole bed to herbs next year. But we'll see about that. Other than that, like I feel really good about where stuff is at. There's a lot of stuff that I'm behind on because this is our first year at this house and I decided to do a bunch of different ridiculous projects. So I was super behind on trellising things, but it'll all get better next year. Like it'll all be easier next year. The infrastructure will be better next year. I'll have a tool rack up here instead of having stuff just laying everywhere. And I won't need to build a fence. And I probably will still build a little. I'm considering building a like 2-foot wattle woven fence, like 2 feet out of the fence line here to keep the woodchucks out, the groundhogs. Is a groundhog a woodchuck? Are those the same thing? I'm gonna Google that later. But yeah, that's the first thing I'm gonna do today is throw a bucket of water down that woodchuck hole and see if it runs out and refill it with stones. Because it's annoying and eating stuff, and it can't be out here eating stuff. I did let the dog chase it, and then he now thinks he can chase all woodchucks, and that might have been a tactical error on my part because across the street there's like an embankment kind of thing into a ditch off the road, and the other day he almost pulled me into a whole mess of burdock, like with the little sticker burrs in him, because the woodchuck was hiding in them. And that was me. That was a tactical error that I made that now has come to bite me in the ass. But yeah, I'm gonna start watering. I'm gonna deal with the woodchuck. I've got a whole list of things to do today, and I might video some of it. We'll see. We shall see.